that we had the first unit sold before the main floor even began framing.
Yep.
Well, like my mother used to always tell me, buy a piece of land because you'll always have a lot.
Hello there, this is Fortune Cookie Farm. I'm very happy to have Corey with me today to share his thoughts about current super hot real estate market, especially the residential real estate market. So Corey, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself and your latest this 4-unit building project, such as the completed time, start time, and most important, how much you sold for this unit?
My name is Corey Fell. I am project manager, part owner of Morecore Homes here in Calgary, Alberta. We are in a little neighborhood called Bowness, where we have built, I think 25 homes now, if you add the 4 here of the multifamily fourplex that we're standing in. The unit that we are standing in is a spec unit where we have picked out all of the finishes and the colors and the granite, the cabinets and the flooring and all that fun stuff. This particular unit sold 2 weeks ago, and we had advertised these units, I believe, at $420,000. This is Jill Conroy. She is our realtor from Remax Central. Mm-hmm. So she's been involved in all 4 sales, and she has sold 3 of them herself, and I helped her with the 4th one. We're not going to say which one sold for the most amount of money, but it was mine.
Friendly competition.
It was mine. But we did, we included a developed basement and a bunch of fun stuff in the last unit that we did sell. We started this project in May 2020. We should be 100% finished with landscaping, and everybody moved in by April 30th of this year. So we're just under a year to have everything done from start to finish. Like I say, we started advertising these units at $450,000 with developed basements. By the time clients got finished customizing what they wanted to do with the basements, because we left them undeveloped until they sold or customers decided what they want to do, we've sold units anywhere from $420,000 to as high as almost $480,000. The last 2 units sold 2 weeks ago, within 2 days. One sold, and I had just 2 people that had recently moved to the neighborhood. They were renting a basement apartment, thought it was a little too small for them. They were looking at my sign. I caught them and told them there was only 1 unit left. 24 hours later, we had an offer to purchase the last unit. Once they got inside and saw the space and the finishes and everything that Morecore does, this is just a little bit better than, a little bit above builder grade. With our finishes and everything, they thought that maybe this was the house they wanted to live in for the rest of their life. That we had the first unit sold before the main floor even began framing.
Yep.
We had clients fighting over the end units. This is our first multifamily, and we've got a few more lined up. But we learned that the end units sell first. Everybody wants to live on the end, whereas I would want to live in one of the middle units because the heat bill's way less.
Yes.
And we found that out while we were building, because we didn't really have to run the furnaces in the 2 middle units, because the 2 end units kept everything nice and warm for us. And it also helped that we do an ICF foundation, which is the insulated concrete foundation system. So we have insulated basements as well.
Yes, I'm just curious how you started this builder thing.
So in 2011, I was working up in Fort McMurray in the oil sands, and my business partner decided he wanted to start a home building company, and he had no construction experience, and I had 20 years of construction management experience. And I was looking for a way to get back to Calgary and get closer to my kids. So we decided we would build a house and see how it goes. So we bought a piece of land in Bowness for $150,000 less than what they're worth now. And we knocked it down. We built a new house. We got lucky, and we found two great clients. One happened to be a former Olympian that was working at Winsport here at COP. And we did okay on the first one, so we did two more. And then we did two more, and we branched off and started doing custom homes because we got some phone calls with some fire reclamations or insurance where homes had burnt down or acreages had burnt down. We got involved in rebuilding homes in High River when the floods hit in 2013. I had a cousin that lost his house to that, and the insurance and the government didn't give him quite enough money to rebuild, so we worked with him to do whatever we possibly could to give him the house of his dreams, and we built that for him. And then we've done custom homes in Pritis, custom homes in Springbank. We just finished building a house, a 5,500 square foot house that has a pool. So that was a new experience for us. And I live in Bowness. We built a show home and an office in Bowness, so I can be close to the job sites, and we love the neighborhood. We've been building in Bowness for 10 years. When somebody goes to sell their house or goes to build in Bowness, they typically will call us first and ask what we think and what we think the property's worth, and some days they're happy with what their property's worth, and last year it went down, and this year it's going back up. So I would, today as we stand, I think, I have land value in Bowness somewhere between 350 and 360. When we started, it was 275 to 300. It got as high as $420,000. At that point, it wasn't economical to build duplexes in the neighborhood because the resales were not where you could generate a whole lot of profit out of those numbers. And then they came back down to 310, 320 a couple of years ago. And now they're back up to around 350, 360, and there's not a lot available in this neighborhood right now.
So do you think there's bubble in the market right now? Because obviously your cost of land already goes up from all the way to 270 to 360, 425. Say if the land value will keep going up, how would you react in your building?
So I think that the market value or the land value is probably going to get back up to that 400, 420, because right now in Alberta, our gross domestic product is going to grow by over 6% this year, which is going to be the highest in Canada. I don't know why.
Okay.
I just read that actually this morning on Instagram in Jason Kenney's post. I'm not exactly sure why we are the fastest growing province, when I happen to know other provinces seem to be doing better. For example, I had a friend call me from Ontario today and asked me if I could fly there and build him a house in Hamilton, because the resale home market has completely exploded there. There's bidding wars on every house, and it's starting to get to be that way in Calgary right now. If the property's priced appropriately, then we're getting multiple bids on, especially houses in the $400,000, $500,000, and $600,000 price range. Once we get over the $1 million homes, well, now you need custom clients that have custom pocketbooks. But in that lower price range, people are wanting to get in the market because they're seeing that the market, you have to pay rent anyway, so why not get in and buy a house? I've also heard that the housing market is being affected by people living in their condos, staring at each other for the last year.
Yes.
Now they want a backyard.
100%.
They want
Space.
another room that they can go to if they don't want to stare at whoever they're staring at, or however many people are in their house. So yeah, single family homes is skyrocketing in Calgary.
So the current market already turns into the seller's market. Do you think it is still time to buy, or the price is not fair for the buyer?
Well, that's a tough one because there's all kinds of guys that I know that are in the industry, in renovations and framing and all that stuff. they were hoping that this spring lumber prices would go down, and it went up another 8%. So anybody that waited last year is now paying 8% more. My experience in life and in building or anything, like once the price goes up, very seldom does it come back down. It might reset a little bit, but I don't ever see the price of OSB going back to $9 a sheet. If it went back to $20 a sheet, there would be a lot of happy people, because that's half the price of what it is right now. Realistically, like again, like I have no idea. They're saying that COVID is affecting it, shortage is affecting it, soft lumber, taxes, and what's happening in the States. It changes every day. They always give you an excuse of why it's so high. But then when all these things come down, the price of the materials or lumber or anything, it doesn't reciprocate. It just seems to stay at that price that they once they start getting customers to pay that price, then we just
They can go back.
put it into our budget, and it's just that's what it is for eternity, it seems.
Okay, so you mean the materials majority from US, even the lumber? Canada is full of the trees in the mountains.
I know.
So that's I don't understand why we still import it.
Well,
You know?
because what happens with that lumber, my understanding is it doesn't matter how many trees Canada has, we have a certain percentage we've already committed to the US. So they get those.
Oh, you mean US has the rights for Canadian trees?
That's right. I have been in the lumber yards the last couple weeks, and those supplies look like they're full or overfilling. But I've talked to the manager of the lumber company that we buy from, and everything that's in his yard right now is spoken for.
Oh, wow.
So it's all been pre-ordered.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of an illusion. You think there's all kinds of stuff there, but it's already been pre-ordered.
Okay. Okay. So the material market has the bubble. Do you think the real estate market in Canada has the bubble too?
I don't think so.
You don't think
They've been
so?
talking about it for years and years and years and years, and like financial experts, and I don't think so. A house is a base need. Is it going to go up and down? Sure. And like sometimes it goes up 30% and then comes down 5%. Well, that's not a bubble. That's just a correction in the market, and that happens all the time. We get to a point where we're doing bidding wars and fighting over houses, so we pay a little bit too much for them. And then supply comes up, and once supply gets a little bit above once the number of sellers gets above the number of buyers, then the price comes down a little bit, but it never comes right back down.
No.
So,
Okay.
and there's 50,000 people a year moving to Calgary. We gotta put them somewhere.
50,000 every year.
50,000.
You mean the newcomer or immigrants?
I think that's a mixture. That'll be immigrants. That'll be people moving from other provinces. And I didn't realize it. I looked on it the other day. Like Calgary's population is almost 1.6 million right now. For some reason, I thought it was 1.3.
1.3?
So I'm missing like 300,000 people somewhere.
Really? It's
Yeah.
only 1.6?
1.561.
I think last year they did whatever survey or it say 1.3.
Check your Google again, because I thought it was 1.3. I checked
Wow.
it last week. It's 1.561.
And you know what? The Canadian government just had 200,000 people was taken as new immigrant, because before they asked say 200 points, then you qualify be an immigrant in Canada. But the first day of Chinese New Year, I think it's February the 12th,
Yeah.
they say all the people in the system, you all success as immigrant to Canada.
So just from Chinese New Year, we have 200,000 new
Just two-
Chinese. See?
Just 200,000 people. I think probably because the COVID or whatever the reason, I think Canadian government think we need more people. So they
Canadian
say,
government always thinks we need more people.
so if I have a land that's ready with a house on it, so what's the process if I'm looking into rebuild?
So if you have a piece of land and you own it outright, which means clear title, That's the easiest way for us to work with you. If the bank owns a portion of that land, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But again, we can still do that. When it comes to construction mortgages or any mortgages, the build process would be whoever's financing the build would hold the mortgage, and then the process is where we would sit down with you. We would come up with a drawing that works for the client or whoever wants to develop the lot or the land or the building. We do up the drawings. We go through an itemized specifications list, which means like taps, courts, counters, and we agree on, okay, well, this is the specification that we'd like included in this budget. And then we sit down with the drawings and the specification list. We send it out to all of our sub-trades, and then the prices come back. We sit down with anything that we do ourselves. We come up with a budget for the client, and then we sit down with the client and say, okay, well, this is the budget for what you want. At that point, they decide whether, first of all, they can afford that budget, or if maybe they want to change something or whatever they want to do. At that point, we can change the drawings and to get it within budget or to add anything that we've forgotten. We agree on a price. We put a contract together, and then we start the permitting stage. Permitting is anywhere from 6 weeks if you get really lucky. In and out of the city in 6 weeks, and you stay contextual and you don't try and rock the boat in the neighborhood at all. Or it could take as much as a year if you decide that you want to maybe add a third story to your house in a neighborhood that has never had a third story before. Or maybe you want a front drive garage in a neighborhood that doesn't really have a front drive garage. If it's a single family home, you're somewhere between 5 and 7 months, 5 to 8 months, depending on the size of the home. If it's a custom acreage, we could be 2 years, depending on the size of the homes and the specs and the details. Are we adding a pool? Are we adding a 3,000 square foot shop? Are we doing a solar system? Are we doing geothermal? Do we have to do the septic? There's a lot of variables. But so we can build a house. Typically, I tell clients we're about a year in and out. That includes your design stage, your permitting, and your construction build. On an acreage, we're somewhere between a year and a half and 2.5 years. So this house here is about $200 a square foot.
$200 square foot built.
Yes.
So when you say talk about the budget, you talk about how much per square foot. Right?
That's right. And so our spec, which is these cabinets, this countertop, these built-ins, all this stuff, that comes out on a 2-story home to $200 a square foot. If that is a bungalow or a story and a half, we're probably $240 to $250 a square foot. Because when you get to the bungalows and the raised ranches and the single stories, now we've got twice as much concrete and twice as many trusses. Mm-hmm. The roof system is twice as big and the foundation system is twice as big. So okay. It's about $250 a square foot. Again, that's our specification.
Okay.
There is guys in the city that say that they can build for $175 a square foot. There is custom builders that build acreages for $450 a square foot. I'm just giving you a number at the level that we have in this actual unit.
Okay.